So today I went to an English Heritage, and I don't know, it wasn't very impressive. It was nice, but it was small. But they had some nice shops, and I went to a charity shop, and I got a hat. It was only £2. And it's an army hat. It actually looks black. It's not black. It's an army pattern design, but for some reason it looks black when on the image. But it's an army hat. This is not a black hat. This is an army coloured. I've got a light army coloured one, and now I've got a dark army coloured one. But the light looks really bad. And in there was two charity shops that were open. So I got this one for £2, and I had another one that had a tent. Look at that! I've got an actual army tent. It was only £5. Supposed to have lights to over them. An army tent. I think it's for kids, but whatever. And the other charity shop I got. Hey, look, it's a wildlife thing, and so I've got a proper safari. You stick it there, and oh no, you can't sit. You stick it there, and then you've got a whole safari. And then I've also got some dinosaur ones. I'm gonna give that one to a kid because it's only 100. They had a lovely tiger one, but I didn't want to get that because the tiger ones are. It was 1,000. I don't like 1,000 jigsaw puzzles. That takes too long for me. I like 500. But yes. Anyway, so I'm in my army tent, which actually kind of feels appropriate considering what I've been writing about this morning. So yes, in my army tent. We can. I kind of need that in the background because it looks like I'm in safari or something. Okay, I'll look at this anyway. But so this morning I don't know. It angers me, It angers me to hear about. I don't know what's going on in the Middle East. I never have. I've always blanked it out. I know whatever's coming out of the Middle East. I feel it's evil, but because I don't feel like you should judge something unless you've actually seen it with your eyes. If you haven't seen something with your eyes, you shouldn't judge it. I've never been to Pakistan. I've never been to India. I've never been to Sudan, Kuwait, or Libya, or I don't know. There's loads of places that I have not been, so I do not feel like I can talk about it. But I can, however, listen to people's experiences and talk about that. And yeah. What he was saying is very severe. It almost feels like there's a whole bunch of people that came from Pakistan to here, and I think that whatever's going on with the child grooming thing, I feel like they might have done that because they saw them coming here as a war, and them conquering this land, and anyone who doesn't want to put up the British flag because. Well, why? Why don't you want to put up the British flag? I think if you have come to this land and you do not want to put the British flag up because you want to say, oh, they were involved in the slave trade, I'm pretty sure we ended it or something like that. It doesn't matter. It was a long time ago. And if you want to just think about all the terrible things that the British Army did in the past and then start saying that that's the reason why we don't want to put up the British flag, I feel like for me, what I want to do exactly the same thing for you. I want to go through every single thing that has happened to Islam and all the wars that they've caused and say, you know what, that's the reason why I want you to get the fuck out of this country. I know I shouldn't do that though, because I know there's some general Muslims who have converted and who have moved on from that. And if you've moved on from that, then great. So why should I see Muslims ex-Muslims who have moved on from that and not wanting to associate with the heritage of the Islamic regime and stuff, why should I, accept them when there's people in England that would want to hate England for what the British past? I mean, I don't know. It's really, really bad, and I'm pretty sure that. I'm pretty sure that the best way to do, because the thing about Islam is they respect power. They do not respect anything else. They respect power, strength, and if the government were to change and say, right, we're not going to be Islamic any longer. We're not going to follow the Islamic rules. We're not going to do this. the population would destroy that government. They would say, no, we want an Islamic one. Muhammad is our God, basically, even though they're not saying that in those words. But they look up to Muhammad as the prophet, as the amazing one, and anyone that sort of says anything against him, you could be murdered for it. I mean, I could say so many terrible things against Christianity and all sorts of religions. But however, whatever I say, I have to also include Islam, only adds so much more to it because it's just so much worse. And the fact that you could get burnt in the street for just saying something that goes against Muhammad's teachings. I mean, this level of this insanity is so extreme that it makes me not give a shit about any Muslim. And if you're a Muslim who is proud of being a Muslim, why the fuck? Look at what your people are doing. Look at what your religion has done. Look at the shit and the crap and the toxicness in your religion and in the teachings and just in everything. And it just angers me. And then to think that there's people think like, oh well, the British did slavery. I don't even think the British really did slavery. I mean, I don't know, but I don't think slaves. I think that was more of an American thing. I don't know. I don't really know, but it was a long time ago. This is not anything to do with whatever happened 200 years ago. This has nothing to do with the British people now. But when it comes to Islam, it does have everything to do it. Why? Because your people are still doing it. You can say, oh, we've changed on and things aren't like the past. Well, it is. Things exactly like the past. Lots of people are dying before the age of 40 in the Middle East. Lots of people are smaller because they're not eating as properly and the food is scarce and they don't have as much money to stay healthy and healthcare is shit. If you think the world has changed that much in Islamic countries, it hasn't, because part of the Islamic belief is that Muhammad was the perfect, lived a perfect life. So now everyone is trying to continuously live the same kind of life as him, even though the world was I'd say it was different, but it wasn't. The world was shit. The world was shit back then. And they're trying to make it shit because they're so mentally ill that they can't tell the difference between a good life and a bad life. And I don't know. There's so many things I could say against it that, I think I would really, really love for just to threaten every single Islamic nation, but don't make it look like it's a government that's threatening him. Say that the UN is just a bunch of people that have nothing to do with the population in the cities, and if like the leader of every single nation, Australia, China, Russia, all came up and then they all said, right, on one day we're just going to bomb lots of different things and say, right, we're going to force the people to not be Islamic. You have to burn every single Quran that there is, or we will. I don't know if that will work. I don't know what will happen. I know that there are a lot of people that already think that we're in war, and that's probably what the girl grooming thing is. But I feel like people are a lot more aware of it now. I'm hoping people are a lot more aware of it now. But yeah, there's just, I don't know, but I really think that I would love for Islam to just completely be ended, wiped out, no more Islam ever. They don't even have to change to Christianity. I just change to anything else, but not Islam. You have to prove to them that this is not the religion that's got truth to it. Muhammad is the false prophet, and non-Muslims have more power than Muslims, and the problem is Muslims are doing their best to try and separate the world. It's not Muslims versus non-Muslims. No, it's Muslims versus Christians and Jews and Hindus and Sikhs and they want us all divided. The non-Muslims want non-Muslims all divided, all arguing amongst themselves. They want to create as much problems as possible because this is part of. There's evil, it's a very evil religion. There's a lot of evil in it. And I think the only people that would love Islam are people that have evil inside of them and love evil and love the thought of conquering. They love the idea of Allah turning everyone into a slave because they want slaves. They love the idea of Allah allowing someone like Muhammad to just do whatever he wants and have sex with children, because that's what a lot of them want. A lot of them want a 50-year-old man to have sex with a 6-year-old child. I mean, this is disgusting. This is disgusting, unfair. It's child abuse, and forcing women to veil up his child abuse. You know, everything about the religion is gross. It's disgusting, and I do not care who sees this video. But yeah, I if every single Muslim in the world just died tomorrow, I think it would be good. It would be a good thing. Like, I know there's a lot of cultural Muslims that are just like, oh, I'm Muslim, but if you're a Muslim, surely you would care about your religion. Surely you would care about some of the information and some of the things that are in your religion. Like, if you're saying I'm a Muslim, but you're not ever reading the Quran, you're not ever paying attention to what Islamic people are doing, you know, not paying attention to the violence and the extreme violence, and just to have a religion that says if you convert out of the religion, you deserve to get beaten to death. Beating takes a long time. You know, I was watching this interview and he was saying that, you know, beating isn't just one punch and you're dead. No, it can take a long time to beat someone to death, and the level of violence that they have, you know, it's something that you would expect in the wildlife. If an animal is chasing something down, they try and kill it as soon as possible, but sometimes it takes longer than they hoped to kill the animal. And you know, it's awful to be a zebra and just to know that lots of things are just eating away at you. You know, it's horrible. This is what Islam is. It's the religion that's most similar to the wildlife, and that I do whatever I want, and I just think if you really want to help the world should get together and say, you know, we are the non-Muslim club, and there is more non-Muslim than Muslim, and all the non-Muslim clubs are the ones with the nuclear weapons, and yeah, I mean, how many Muslims would convert out of Islam and happily rip up their book if the choice was to rip up their book or have their whole city blown apart? I think a lot of them will actually choose the blowing apart bit. That's the thing about it. You can hate Islam and you can hate the idea of killing Muslims, but I don't even think that the Muslims I don't even think the Muslims hate the idea of the Muslims being killed, because a lot of their teaching is about getting into heaven through good deeds and staying loyal to Allah and staying on that side. You know, if you had a vote and you got everyone in some Afghanistan or Pakistan country to vote, do they vote to stay loyal to Allah and their fictional view of it, their delusion about what God is like, and their book and their Quran and Muhammad? You know, do they want to stick to that, or do they want to die? And I wouldn't be surprised if over 50% said that they would rather die than leave Islam. You know, I don't know what the percentage is. But yeah, I mean, if over 50% of these nations would rather die than leave Islam, why not just blow the place up? Like, I do not understand, like, why you're not just taking more serious actions against this. It's evil, you know, it's evil, and I'm pretty sure even the leaders want to. I think he said something about the Prince of Saudi Arabia was trying to make it less Islamic, but he ended up pissing a lot of people off because they don't want to believe that, you know, anything the Prophet said, Muhammad, I'm not even calling the Prophet, anything Muhammad said is perfect, and therefore if you say anything that goes against what he said, you know, your life is in danger. Now, that the fact that this is the civilian is happy to kill you for saying that some psychotic terrorist who married a 6-year-old when he was 50, to insult someone like that, and the civilian would happily kill you over something like this. I mean, to me, this is the worst type of civilian. You know, it's bad when civilians get caught in the crossfire, but when the average civilian is just so terrible that they would happily kill for some really stupid reason a person they've never even met, you know, I just feel like the civilians are not nice people in a lot of places, and something needs to be done to just end it all once and for all. Stop them from brainwashing more kids into this doctrination. You know, there's a lot of people who believe a lot of Christian rubbish and stuff, and I feel like a lot of reasons why people believe the insanity in Christianity is because of all the huge brainwashing that they did when they were an Islamic person, whether it be in a past life or 2 past lives or 3 past lives ago. You know, they did so much brainwashing into believing in total nonsense that when they see Christianity, they think, well, it makes a little bit more sense than Islam. You know, this makes a little bit. I want to believe in a savior, and Islam doesn't have a savior. It's just kill, kill, kill. So I'm going to transfer to Christianity. You know, it's the next most powerful thing and stuff. But really, all they worship is power. You know, there's so many people that go to church to worship Jesus. They're not worshiping Jesus. They're worshiping the idea that there are millions of people, billions of people around the world that worship this figure. And they're not worshipping the figure itself. They're worshipping the fact that so many people worship this figure. You know, if I told them that this figure was me, they're just going to think, well, people aren't worshipping you. So I don't give a shit about you because people aren't worshipping you. You can give me all the evidence in the world that you are the real Christ, that you are the real God. But you have no power because people aren't giving it to you. And I feel like because of that, they're not taking me seriously. And when it comes to Islam, you know, there is a lot of people that just worship power, and they don't care about how much ridiculous nonsense. But the thing is, it's going to lead to bad stuff, you know. And to think that 40% are illiterate and and a huge portion of them can't even spell their own name. I mean, this is just stupidity. Are they even human? If you're illiterate in this age, are you even a human? Like, I understand that there might be people in Africa, but if they're all being brainwashed into Islam, why not just do something that would force these people to permanently leave this ridiculous religion? And I don't know, like, I was thinking that I should expose myself as Christ and work the way out, but I feel like there's a huge portion of just mindless idiots that are Islamic and believe in the caliphate and just want to come here to start war. There are so many people that are coming here that are Islamic who want to start war, and I think Europe is being so blinded by the benefits of multiculturalism. You know, Sikhs are happy people, Hindus are happy people. You know, we've grown accustomed to different types of people and different types of culture and stuff, and it's working well. But I think there is a growing evil, which is Islam and Islamic beliefs and people who have chosen this religion and the mental illness that people have. A lot of people have it, but mental illness that of people who worship Islam, you know, it is going to end up in bad, really bad. And I think there's a lot of people that would, you know, they're hiding. The jihadists are hiding under this multiculturalism and racism, and Islamophobia needs to end. You need to be proud to be Islamophobic. You know, Islamophobia, okay, you can take it a bit far. To say that every single Islamic company is corrupt, that is Islamophobia. That's over the top. Is it true? I don't know. It's probably not true, no, but it's fine to have a fear and then take it to a bit too extreme, because not every Islamic person is corrupt or going to rip you off. But at the same time, Islam is a very, you know, it teaches you to hate the infidel and to lie to the infidel. Now, if they're setting up a company and want your money, how do you know that they're actually going to spend your money correctly? And Islamophobia, I guess, is a fear of it, but maybe a bit too much of a fear. You know, I have been to Islamic countries, but I always go to the tourist areas, so that I see that as different. Would I go to Gaza? No. Would I go to? There's a lot of countries that I would not go to. I think I went to Morocco when I was 16, but I did note that they said that there was like a huge expensive security team on us, and that if we died we'd get like £1 million, and they said that they've got helicopters at the ready if anything happens. But just something like that, you know what, I'm going to a country where we need to have huge high security and need to have like a huge insurance claim and helicopters at the ready in case anything happened. I mean, even that was just like, okay, there's alarm bells going on there. This is not how you're supposed to be when just visiting a country. And so I think I've always had a known that there was something wrong with Islam. But I think the strangest thing is that Islamic people don't seem to see anything wrong with it. They'll see something wrong with it when they start getting beaten up over something stupid. They'll see something wrong with it if they're a female being forced into to act like a slave. But yeah, I don't know what else to say about it other than it's just it's a jungle, and it's a nice picture. But yeah, Islam. This is basically what Islam is. It's a pound. This was, but it was a pound. But Islam is like this. You've got the leaders that just control, and then you've got lots of different types of Muslims. Some are harmless. Some just run away if they some just do as they're told. But yeah. I don't know. I've got a feeling that a lot of elites might have let all these Islamic people in because they want to end whatever's going on in Islam. And I think for you to understand what's going on in the Islamic worlds, you have to actually feel it. You have to feel the threat. You have to feel the people that just seem to walk around with bad energy or dumbness or mindness. I think you can't really insult it unless you've actually had personal experiences. And so I'm wondering if this is the reason why they've let all these Islamists come into the country, so that we can experience the sort of fear that comes with these people. You're not going to harm people in the Middle East if they're in the Middle East, because you're just like, well, it's not in my area, it's not my problem. But now that they've spread, it is our problem. It is a big problem, and I think the more countries you can convert out, if you blew up a whole city, I don't know which one, if you amongst all the leaders, including Islamic leaders, if they know about me, I don't know if they know about me. I can't say too much because I don't know which leaders know about me. But if you just used a nuclear weapon on 2 or 3 locations, and then you said, right, these governments are no longer going to be Islamic. You are going to get rid of your Islam. This is a false religion. This guy did, Allah is not God. And say if you don't, we're going to continuously bomb all these locations. But they want to attack the people, but they can't attack the people because it's not our fault. And there's a sort of growing belief that the elite don't give a shit about the average person. Now, if the elite who are doing the bombing don't give a shit about the average person, then it might actually make them less caring towards the citizens of Europe or anywhere. I don't know what will happen if even that's a good idea, but just Islam is so strong and so powerful because there's so many people who believe in it. Now they like power. A lot of people like power. Christianity has a lot of people, but a lot of people just can't believe that Jesus was God, and therefore in their mind they'll think, well, if Jesus is not God, then this isn't true, so I'm going to go with Islam. And I think, though, if there was some sort of nuclear bomb that said, we don't like Islamists and we are going to do this because we want your governments to stop worshipping this shit, and we want your people to be so scared of us, whoever us is, this anonymous group of people that have nuclear weapons, and we're not even going to tell you who we are. We're just going to say, get rid of this religion, or we're going to continuously bomb all your cities until your whole caliphate is just destroyed. I don't know if that's maybe I'm just saying this because I'm angry over the things that I've heard. This guy had real life experiences of living in lots of different countries, Islamic, being passed from one place to other, and he wanted to be a politician in Pakistan, but realized that the all the governments had to revolve around Sharia law because that's what the people wanted. But he, as a politician, didn't agree that the laws should be around Sharia law. But even saying things like that put his life in danger. So I don't know.